Today we're going to be talking about plant-based pizza. Now, do we even still have the right to call it pizza? I'm not sure, but we could certainly wane philosophically on this for quite some time. But if you're making a transition to plant-based eating, getting really clear about letting go of some things that used to bring comfort is a really important part of the journey. So today I'm going to show you a little bit about how I make pizza from home from scratch. Now this is a dough from Trader Joe's that I've brought out of the fridge, let it warm up to room temperature. Then we kind of massage it a bit and make that dough really pliable. The key to making this dough really tasty though is to let it sit outside, we call it proofing, for at least a couple of hours. This allows all of the elements of the dough to wake up and be ready. Next step that I like to do is to add the flour. The flour, when you're sort of punching out the pizza, really makes it more easy to work with. I may never have mentioned, but one of my first jobs was at Domino's, and I learned some pizza skills, but by no means am I an expert. After putting a little bit of flour on, I like to massage the dough, kind of pull it out from the edges, making the outer rings of the pizza. Now, the crust is certainly an important part, and if you're making it from home and the dough hasn't had time to proof and warm up, as soon as you put it down on the paper, it kind of shrinks back down to that tiny size. And if you're like me and you love a thin crust pizza, this is definitely a dilemma. So I use this baking pan with a little bit of parchment. You could use cornmeal, and we press it all the way out to the edges. Now here comes a slightly surprising part. This is where I'm going to tell you that I'm not using tomato sauce. I'm using baked squash. And I know this may not be something that everyone would try, but I find it gives this beautiful texture, kind of reminiscent of what pizza used to be like. So I've baked a squash whole in the oven, we cut it in half, and then we scoop out the seeds and put a little olive oil first, and we smooth that over. Then I start to add my pureed pumpkin. This is a great time with kids. You can really get them in the kitchen, using their hands, spreading things around, and so on. So you can see here that I am really talking to this dough. Hey, do you talk to your food? I know I do. But in talking to the dough, I'm kind of asking it to bake up beautifully and behave the way I might like it to. And sometimes this is a long conversation. I've even snipped this a bit on the shorter side, but wanted to keep it without a time lapse. Now here is my kabocha squash, which is one of my favorite things. And if you see a seed in there, that's okay. The seeds have wonderful fiber and nutrients, zinc and fatty acids in them that really benefit us. So you could use any sort of vegetable puree as base. Carrots would work, cauliflower, but again, we're trying to get that texture and feel in the mouth of what pizza typically has. And hear me out, I think these vegetable purees are part of that secret. Now granted, I'm not suggesting that you never have pizza again. It's inspired songs, marriage proposals, the layers of cheese, tomato sauce, endless array of toppings. There's whole Netflix specials dedicated to it. But I think there's something special when you're starting to go plant-based to really think about. I find another thing that's really fun to do is to think about you're decorating a beautiful space, a mandala of sorts. I found this beautiful purple kale at the farmer's market, purple broccoli. I had leeks, and believe it or not, I felt like the watermelon radish might actually even look like pepperoni. I don't know, what do you think? Let me know in the comments. That could be a controversial opinion with many people who enjoy pepperoni on their pizza, but hey, look at these watermelon radish. I think they're not a far away thing. But the fun thing about a plant-based pizza is that we are really looking at including as many plants as possible. So I've got here some beautiful tomatoes, some green olives. All of this is mixed in with the kale, the broccoli. Now again, this is maybe more flatbread. I don't know, it's up to you what you want to call it, but my husband said it was one of the tastiest pizzas he'd ever had. And that's big words coming from him as a pizza aficionado. Now you can add or not add the vegan cheese. I find that the Follow Your Heart is one of the ones that seems to melt the best, and we don't eat this that often. Look at that crust. It totally holds up. I think a pizza cutter or a big knife is the way to go when you're slicing it. I like to rotate the pizza itself, but some people have a board that they'll rotate it on. Again, you can get a pizza shelf, like a big tray that pulls it out of your little oven. But after I've cut it up, and it's always a decision as to whether we're going to do big pieces or smaller pieces. Sometimes we like to take our time, and sometimes we're just really excited that pizza is happening. Now you'll notice that there's definitely still a lot of vibrant plant colors, and it doesn't really maybe look like your pizza that you used to get from takeout or from the mall, but the flavors, I can assure you, are really interesting. I love to add a little bit of arugula, and this is one of my favorite flavors, so I hope you enjoy. If you enjoyed this recording today, sign up, join the channel, come along for this fun journey in the kitchen where we learn a little bit about nourishment and also have fun.